Welcome to the Global Girlfriend.
Shall we book a trip to Corfu, Greece?
Yep. Hey, hi everybody, and welcome to the Global Girlfriend.
Yes, welcome. My name is Morgan.
And my name's Brianna, and we are your hosts for the Global Girlfriend podcast, a podcast that connects women from all over the world.
Yes, we're so happy to have you. Welcome back if you've been here before, and if it's your first time, we're so happy to have you on this journey of travel, storytelling, and connection.
We have had a little bit of a pause in our recording and production, but we are back. We've both been sort of off traveling and connecting with people that we know and love, but we are back and we are talking about one of our favorite topics today, and that is the power of a girls' trip.
Oh my goodness. It's truly one that we are both so passionate about and have had many experiences in it together and also on our own. So tune in for this.
Let's get started a little bit. Do you have like a quick little girl memory from a girls' trip that you want to share, other than the big one, obviously, to get us started?
which we will get into. Okay, yes. There are definitely just so many to think of. Okay, so yeah, I'll share one of my girl trips. My let's see, one of my childhood best friends, Olivia, came to visit me in Madrid. And I was living there at the time. So she came just to kind of see Madrid, see my life, which was so fun. But then we also got to do a couple of trips while she was there. We went up north to San Sebastian, and then we also ended up going to Paris. So it was just like a one-on-one girl trip, so just the two of us. But we traveled so well together. We had the time of our lives. We'd from like intimate moments of having wine and just talking about life to it was also Pride in Madrid, so just out on the streets meeting people, concerts, drinks. As well as just like going to the beach in San Sebastian. So it was just like full of different things. And then also just us thriving together. And it's just thinking of traveling with Olivia always just brings like the most fond memories because we just travel so well together and like just, connecting on the soul level always just revitalizes my spirit.
I love.
Okay, what about you? Are you any specific story come to mind?
It's so funny that you mentioned that you went to concerts because I was just thinking about that. And I think some of my favorite girl trips in the past few years have revolved around music. So I have been really fortunate to be able to sort of like sneak away from my life to go and see some concerts. So
Hmm.
last year, I went and visited our friend Paloma in Singapore and we went and saw Coldplay together. But it was like around
Fun.
Lunar New Year. So we got to go to Chinatown and experience like Lunar New Year from that perspective, which I had never done, which was like so fun. When I was still living in Albania, our friend Rachel and we flew to Spain to see Ziggy Alberts, which was like an amazing concert. But then also we just sort of like got
Hmm.
to explore, we got to explore Spain and go to like, parks and have, beers on terraces. And like, it was just like a really
The dream.
lovely experience. And then recently my cousin came to visit, and we went to Singapore again. We flew from Indonesia to Singapore to go and see Gracie Abrams, which was like really just like fun and a like lovely experience. So I think that for me recently I've really enjoyed girls trips, where we have gone on a pilgrimage to see an artist that we love, and it's just been like so nice to both experience the music but then also make memories in the cities that we've gone to. So that's been really fun.
Oh, I love that. Okay, yeah. Concerts always bring, and music always bring special experiences. So, okay, so then today, yeah, so the power of a girls trip, we're just, going to share a few more stories, some insights, and then also just some tips for planning these girl trip getaways.
Amazing. So let's get right into it. you and I have been on many a girl trip together. We've been on girl trips with our
That
other
is true.
girlfriends, but they are so powerful. And I think if we actually think about why, for me at least, I think that like girls trips are first and foremost so powerful just because they really um improve your bonding and connection with your friends in real life. Of course,
Hmm.
meeting up with your friends in the city that you're from for a coffee, like that's one thing, but I really feel like you bond a whole lot more when you are on a long road trip together, or when you have to overcome a challenge or navigate getting lost, or you're just sitting around waiting in the airport. Like it's sort of those in between moments that I really feel like bond you together and make your connection so much stronger.
Oh, that I couldn't agree more. And just also, I think the when you're on a trip, you're away from your day to day work stresses, whatever day to day other stresses you have, and you really are able to have that like mental reset and unplugging. And I think that just creates that opportunity, like you said, just to connect and like, and I think it allows you to be more open to, like learning and experience and stuff that also just bonds you. And I think that's crucial.
Absolutely. And I also think that you just sort of walk away, usually from a girl trip, like feeling more empowered or more confident. And I think that comes from like all of the different moments that you experience on a trip. Like, I think about
Hmm.
the last time you and I did a girls trip together when we went to Theth. And anyway, we were like in your
Oh yeah.
car, and the car had a problem, and we were stuck in the middle of nowhere, and we had to like, I don't know, change the oil or something. And so like we had to be a team,
Yes.
you know what I mean? In that moment, we had to go find a shop, find the oil, upload the YouTube video, like figure out what we were going to do. And like it was stressful and hilarious, but at the end it was like, we don't need a man, we don't need anybody to fix this car, like we can do it for us. And so like just feeling super like empowered and confident, and like even if you don't have an experience where you have to overcome a huge challenge, like I just find,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, like taking group photos with the girls, you know what I mean? Like that's so
Oh,
fun.
yes.
Putting air on each other's tires, you look so great, getting ready with the girls, you know what I mean? Like there's just so many little moments
Yeah.
on a girls trip where you just feel so empowered and confident because of the people that you're with. It's really wonderful.
Oh, that's so true. And like, yeah, I liked how you said stressful and hilarious. I just feel like these moments are, they are hilarious and amazing. So yeah, I think that, so I guess let's talk about like group dynamic. I think, you know, there's such an energy that comes with and a bonding and like we've said connection of traveling with girls and women who really get you, you know and I think and kind of just figuring out those different roles. And I know like we kind of I feel like I'm thinking of the story you just shared about like having to change my oil in Theth, Albania. And I feel like we both went to the store. You ended up taking the role of, like I opened the thing, you end up taking the role of actually doing it, and then I'm like cheering you on. But I think figuring out your roles, and I think every kind of like duo or group is different. Like you have the driver, which we'll talk about like the stories.
Yeah.
You have this the chef, or who brings the snacks, or everyone brings the snacks, or I don't know what other ones
No,
like.
I love that. I really appreciate when there's a friend in the group that has like done the research for like the cafes and the
Mhm.
restaurants. Of course, spontaneity is great, but I love when there's a foodie on the group who can be like, "No, I've scouted out these three places for us to eat." Like, love when there's one of those on the trip. The logistics people about, organizing trains and ferries and car rentals and that sort of stuff. I think that, yeah, it's just wonderful to see everyone sort of step into their element and shine on a girl's trip.
Yeah, no, yeah, I absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. Okay. So, should we share another just memorable moment or lessons learned or a story of a girls trip?
I think we should absolutely share a story of a girls' trip. So the reason why Morgan and I, well, I mean, we wanted to do this episode because girls' trips are just in general so important for
Mhm.
women, of all ages and chapters of life, regardless of where you're from. We think that girls' trips are really important. But we also really
Mhm.
wanted to share this incredible travel story that we will never forget for the rest of our lives, and maybe what we learned from it. This was in the middle of the pandemic. We decided to do
Hmm.
a girls' ski trip from Albania to Sarajevo in Bosnia. Um, why don't you tell us how it started, Morgan?
Okay, yes. So, well, we rented a car and we all, had that set. We told them where we were going. They told us, I think they told Brianna, like, yep, snow tires, chains, like, you should be good to go. We all have our COVID documents, like, ready to go. And we are on the road. So it was five of us. So we were like the United Nations, all from different places. It was Brianna and I, our friend Rwand, Paloma, and Mommy. So it was a group of five. So full car full of snacks. So we get on the road and we have to drive through Montenegro, which we had just gotten word that it was, like they're shutting down driving through Montenegro, right? Is that what they said?
It was so people in Montenegro were not allowed to travel. The only reason or way that you could be on the road in Montenegro was if you were in transit. So the only people that were driving on the road this day were basically people that were driving from Albania to Bosnia or vice versa. Because it was the lockdown restrictions and they didn't want COVID to spread. So they were like, everybody stay home unless you're transiting. So that's why we happened to be on the road.
Okay, yes. So we did get stopped like once or twice or something, and we're like, Bosnia. And they're like,
Bosnia.
okay. They're like, okay. Okay, so we're going and like full of energy, again, full of snacks and music. And it starts to get a little snowy. And the roads of Montenegro are like quite rickety. Like you're going through caves with like not the best paved roads, potholes everywhere, icicles that look like they're going to impale your car. Um, so we're going through these things. It's already like snowy conditions, but like it's starting to snow. And we're like, okay, well, we're gonna just keep on trekking through. Um, and yeah, I'm trying to think. Okay, so then wait, what's the next point that happened?
So then like it starts to snow and like Morgan and I are the drivers on this trip. Morgan is a more confident
Yes.
driver than I am, but I will still like I'm still there for it.
You pull through and rally through and make it happen.
When I have to. And so anyway, we have the DJ and the snack brigade behind us in the back seat. Morgan and I are in the front, and it's like all of these switchbacks and icy roads, and it's getting kind of gnarly, but we're both, looking at each other and being like, no, we got this. And so we're pushing through. And then we get stopped by the cops a couple times as it goes. But then we get into Bosnia. We give them our passports from all over the world. So the roads drastically change when you get into Bosnia. Just very, very different quality of roads. And so we pull into Bosnia. We still have probably like 4 hours left in this 12-hour drive. And if we thought the roads were bad in Montenegro, they were 15 times worse in Bosnia. There's no street lights. There are these tiny, skinny little winding roads along the edge of the cliff that are sometimes washed out, or it's gravel at some part. You're literally like, here is the road, and then like 1 meter beside you is this massive cliff down to a river. And it
Yeah.
really, at this point, it like really starts to snow. Like it is coming down.
Yes.
Not a snowplow in
It,
sight. And we're like
no.
driving this car, and it's just like very obvious that like there's no snow tires, there's no chains.
Mm-mm.
Like this is just five girls on the ricketiest road in this crazy, crazy blizzard. So anyway, we're going,
Oh
and
yeah.
then it starts to get dark. And I think this is when like panic kind of, not panic, but this is when
Oh
our
yeah.
our anxiety was like through the roof. I also just remember like you and I are in the front, we're like so anxious and stressed about the drive, and like bless our friends, they were eventually aware of the situation, but like at one point it's like so intense, you and I are like eyes
We're
glued to
like,
the road, and our friends are in the back being like, so what's your favorite international cuisine? And I'm like, shut up.
well, because there was still a little bit of peace, like in daylight, but
Yeah.
like as you said, like as it started to get dark, but then there, I don't remember at what point that it switched where we all were on the same stress level.
I think it was
But
when
like,
So we're all so stressed. There was this car that was in front of us, and we were sort of following the car that was in front of us, and that was nice because
Oh, yeah.
that car was going first, and we could follow their tail
Yeah.
lights around these winding roads. But then that car went off in a different direction, and then it was literally just us in
Just
these
us.
mountain
And,
roads.
like, yeah, like, literally, like, along the side of this mountain, and I remember I'm, like, 10 and 2, like, you're just like this, and then the music we turned the music
Turn the
off, the
music
girls
off.
in the back ended up just being like, and we still at that point, we still had 2 hours left to Sarajevo. And then we're like, "Should we keep going? Like, what should we do?" And then we're like, was it you who was like, "No, I think we need to stop. Well, I think we need to figure it out." I don't remember who said it.
I
Was
don't
it
know
you?
who said it, but someone said it, and thank
But
God.
we're
So
thankful.
so then we're like, okay, we need to stop. But literally, we're in these mountains. There is nothing around. It's obviously a tourist place because they have signs for camping and stuff. But this was January or February, so like everything was
Yeah,
closed.
fab.
Absolutely everything was closed. It's the middle of COVID. Where do we stay? So anyway, we're continuing slowly down this road, and then we see this guest house, which is obviously closed, and we're like, well, let's give it a try.
Let's just pull on in.
Let's pull on in and see if they can help us out. So we like pull in, all five of us roll out of the car, we go and knock on this, literally it's like it's the owner's house, so there's a guest house, but then there's like
Yeah.
a residence. We like knock on the residence, this woman opens the door, we don't speak the same language, and we like try and explain, we're like, we're five people, can we sleep here?
5.
and
And then she's like, "Okay, she was like, "Let me." She had to like go get her daughter or something.
yeah. And then it turned out like God saved us that day. They had one room with 5 beds and 5 blankets. It was like summer camp. It was like a
Like,
little
literally.
cabin.
It was like 2 bunks and then 1, like, twin bed, and it was like, "Oh my gosh." It was like, "This is perfect." So then we did that, and then we were like, "But also, we are famished."
Yeah.
Like, "Do you have any food?" And then I don't know what I remember sandwiches, it was she only had, like, this, like, ham and butter sandwich or something.
Yes, it was like this thick piece of bread with like ham and butter, and honestly it was delicious. It was so good. Thank
We
God.
needed it.
And also she had wine, and we were like, "Oh my God, yes."
So much wine.
That's like all she
And, like,
had.
we were like, "Say no more."
Say no more, we will stay here,
Ugh.
you have saved us. So yeah, so that woman truly saved us from the wild streets. We had our bread and cheese and wine, we slept in our little summer camp cabin situation. It was adorable. And then the next morning we woke up, the sun had come up, we could see the roads, and we were able to continue our journey to Sarajevo.
Ugh.
So that was great. And then we ended up having an incredible ski vacation.
Oh, yeah, we did.
If you ever want to have some great skiing, like we fully recommend going to Sarajevo for skiing. The mountains were beautiful, like crystal clear
Stunning.
days. Like we had one
Mhm.
of the best ski days I think I've ever had was in Bosnia. So we got
I
our
think I
beautiful ski
think same
vacation.
here. Yeah, yeah, I think that was actually, like, my favorite ski place in Eastern Europe. It was stunning. And then, we popped around to the markets, had good food, and then we did our journey back, and we ended up stopping in this, like, random small town in Montenegro called Zablijak
Yep.
with, like, this and we, like, skied for, like, €10, like, rentals and lift ticket. And it just had, like, one hill, but it was still fun.
And
And then we made our journey back.
and yeah, if you ever want to go skiing in Zabliak, we're probably saying it wrong. Two of our friends did a ski lesson, and they had the champion of Montenegro as their ski teacher. So if you want an incredible ski
Crucial.
teacher, that's where you go. And you would think like, okay, they had this treacherous journey there. Surely coming back would be a little bit easier. But now here's where we share our number one tip for booking accommodation, and that is don't book your accommodation through Instagram. And that is because when we were in Montenegro,
Oh, yeah, I forgot about this.
when we were
It
in
was cute, though.
Montenegro, it was so cute. We're doing the trip planning, and I like find this beautiful little A-frame cabin on Instagram, and I like send it to the group chat, and everyone in the group chat's like, yeah, it's so cute, book it, book it, book it. So we booked this beautiful A-frame cabin. Like we have visions in our mind for like the content we're going to create, how cozy it's going to be. Like
Mhm.
we are stoked about this A-frame cabin in the woods. And then we get there, and it's again a massive snowstorm. Like the snowbanks were so high. Our friend Paloma is probably like 5'1", and the snowbanks were twice as tall as she is.
Oh
And so
yeah.
anyway, we're like trying to drive to this place, and the car that we rented gets literally stuck in a snowbank, and like all of these
Because no snow tires.
all these Montenegrin granddads come out with their shovels to try and like shovel us out. We can't get out of the snowbank. And so the people from the accommodation came to pick us up. And so they pile all five of us and all of our ski stuff into like this tiny little like Toyota Corolla
All our
equivalent.
bags.
All of our bags, everything, rip us up this snowy hill. They for sure had snow tires. And then we get to the cabin, and like it's not, they haven't, the cabin is probably like, I don't know, 200 meters away, and they haven't like shoveled basically, so we just like had to walk through these massive snowbanks to get into the
Oh
cabin.
yeah, yeah.
We get into the cabin, the guy just like leaves us there, and we're like, wait, can you come back and get us tomorrow? Like, we want to go skiing. And he's like, oh, we'll come back at 12. We're like, no man, you gotta come in the morning. And so
Yeah.
anyway, so like he was not very friendly, and so he just leaves us in this cabin. He shows us where the wood is because it's all heated by a fire stove, and so he leaves,
Mm-hmm.
and so then it's just us in this cabin that is freezing. Like, we're all wearing our coats and stuff,
Freezing.
and we're like, okay, let's like build a fire. So then, talking about confidence and empowerment, we get the wood, we put the wood into the wood stove, we're like trying to light the fire, and it's just not working. And like it's really really not working for us. And then I have a colleague who was really into outdoors, and he always told me like, oh, you can burn your tampons. And so I'm like, okay ladies, get your tampons in the boxes they came in, we're
Mm-hmm.
setting them on fire. So now we're literally just like burning our tampons into this log stove, and like it's not working. And eventually we did cave, and I called my dad, and I was like, Dad, we're trying to build this fire, and it sounds like it's
Yeah.
just about to light. Like, it sounds like it's just about to light. We like put the flame on it, and then it just goes tss. And my dad's like,
Yeah.
that means that the wood is wet. And so they had left us with
Yeah.
completely wet wood.
Like, yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah. And like, yeah, we were like all like working on it with, but then at one point I think I was like, I'm so tired, so I just have to take a small nap. And then
Yes.
like I woke up and like the four of you guys were just like burning tampons and like because I was sitting right there just in a blanket, just like taking a small snooze. And it was so hilarious. And we literally had all the grandma blankets on, covered and everything, and just like all night. So we couldn't even stay there the next night.
We slept in our snowsuits. Like, literally, we were sleeping in our ski
Mm-hmm.
pants. Like, for YouTube, I'm gonna find the photos and like put them up because they're hilarious. And then literally we had to cancel. The next day we were like, my brother, we cannot stay here. You left us freezing in the middle of the woods.
We gotta go.
And so then we booked a place closer to the town that had indoor heating, and things got much better from there.
Yeah. But it's those like stories, like obviously like the fun, like skiing and these like fun activities, but also it's these like hectic stories of like almost freezing to death and getting stuck in a snowstorm and piling in this random person's car that like I feel like we always come back to this story. It's one of my favorites.
It and honestly, like, it was, stressful and hectic, but like now we look back on it and we can laugh at it, and it was just wonderful. And I think like that's really what makes girls trips different. Like, of course you need to travel with your partner or with your family, and solo travel. We talk about that a lot. Like, all
Mm-hmm.
trips are valid, but I think like
Yes.
what really makes girl trips different is just that like bonding, that connection, that growth, that
100%.
empowerment. Like, that's really, it makes the friendships deeper, and it just like, those are like incredible core memories that like, to not experience it would be such a shame.
Such a shame. And like one of my favorite things on earth is my like female friendships. Like there's something about just connecting on that soul level with a girlfriend. And so yeah, I think doing these trips just even further connect you and bond you.
And I think, I mean, I know we just like talked for 10 minutes about a girls trip that was like a bit chaotic, but we do feel like we are experts in planning the perfect girls trips. So we'll get into that right now. I think the reason why we survived this trip, is the first thing you need to do when you're planning a girls trip is you do need to find the right group. And you need to be
Yes.
able to like, I mean, if you're a core group of friends, like that's wonderful. If you're mixing people from different friend groups, that can work, but you really just need to make sure that the people that you're traveling with are compatible with each other. Does everyone have different strengths, but do you have things that can unite you? Because I feel like that's sometimes when girls trips can go awry, is if there's someone who is maybe
Mhm.
nothing wrong with this person, but maybe they're just not the right vibe for the group. So definitely just be very mindful when you're choosing who you
Yeah.
travel with.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm so glad you brought that up because that's actually something I'm so passionate about and I feel like for like just to anyone listening out there, um, like it is, I want like be graceful with yourself and like know that it is normal and okay for you not to be compatible with everyone. And trips, like it enhances the bonding, enhances the connection, but it also can elevate the stress and elevate a lot of emotions. And so I think be graceful with yourself if like you have an experience, and I've had this too where I'm like, well, I guess you should actually know a person before you do this trip to Portugal or you know what I mean or whatever. But like I think that like yeah, be graceful with yourself and like you're not going to be compatible with everyone. So be like choose people who you are. But so y- yeah.
And I think then once you have your group, then I think it's really important that your destination selection is also really important. And so I think, I mean, the world is wide, there are so many things to see. So once you know what your
Mhm.
group is and what their interests are, then it's really becomes easy to choose the destinations. For example, we went on ski trips because all of our friends are skiers. If it was a group where half the
Mhm.
group wasn't a skier, we would probably choose a different destination. But I think you just sort of need to pick a place that reflects the group's interests, that reflects their hobbies, their travel goals, their budget, all of that sort of stuff. So I think
Yes.
just have a conversation with the group about maybe where you want to go. Come with ideas. Also, if you shut an idea down, if you're on the girls' trip, if you're going to shut an idea down, have something to contribute for something else you might like to do. And then I think that helps. That makes choosing a destination pretty easy and exciting.
And I think just make sure you have your destination and just make sure that the discussion is open. Like be specific on your budgeting. Like you briefly mentioned, I think it's important that y'all are on the same page so you can manage expectations. Because it is hard to travel sometimes if you didn't talk about the budget, it's vastly different. And then also just I feel like when I go on trips, I like to be like, okay, so what are your dreams? What are the things you have to do? What are the things you've always thought about to do in this place? And like, make sure y'all organize activities that everyone wants to do. That would be like a dream to incorporate into your trip. Um, yeah.
I totally agree. And I think something that we have done on our trip, which we're not sponsored, but maybe someday we will be, we use Splitwise on our trip. So Splitwise is like this
Love
app.
that.
It is incredible. So it's this
Passionate.
app where like it makes things super, super easy. So it helps you figure out finances of the trip. So basically like you just input every single person that's on the trip and then what they pay for as things go. And you can include everything like accommodation, car rental, tips, like whatever. And then at the end of the trip,
Hmm.
you can decide how you want it broken down, and then it just tells you who owes who what, and it just is like super transparent, super clear, makes things super easy. Everybody is
Yeah.
has access to the trip, so you can track what you're spending
Yeah.
as you go. So if you're sort of worried or stressed about finances or how things are getting paid for, or making sure that everyone is contributing equally, we have used Splitwise on all of our trips, and we love it.
I am passionate about it. So yeah, and then just one other thing, like on the trip, I think just make sure like finding a balance is always important. So if you're on a group, like I think it's okay to do all group things. It's okay to like break off if some people are interested. So say you did go on a ski trip with a variety of people. The people who want to ski, then the other ones are doing like a day in town or just chilling at the ski resort or something, and also being okay to take alone time if that's what you need. So I think that balance is crucial to incorporate in your trip, or just as needed.
Absolutely. And like I think like burnout or whatever, or overstimulation, like that is a very normal thing when you're traveling in any group. And
Hmm.
just remember, like, you're on a trip with your friends, they're all probably experiencing the same thing. So if you need a little bit of downtime, if you want to read your book, just tell the group, they will 100% probably want the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
I guess to sort of wrap things up, I think Morgan and I are just really passionate about girls' trips and
We are.
prioritizing girls' trips because, especially as you get older, life can really take over, and you have a lot of
Mhm.
different things that you need to balance in your life. But I think we have both, like, our friendship has become deeper because of girls' trips that we've been on. We have some of our fondest lifelong memories come from
Yeah.
girls' trips. And I think that every time I go on a girls trip, I come back just feeling better, feeling refreshed, feeling more like
Yeah.
myself, feeling more connected to my friends. And so we want to encourage you all to make sure that you are prioritizing girls trips as you plan your travels for the year.
Yeah, absolutely. It could definitely be a form of renewal and just self-care. Um, and something we should prioritize. Absolutely. So we're so thankful for y'all to listen to this episode of The Power of a Girl Trip. And we are just eager to hear y'all's stories of your different girls' trips or even ideas of ones that you're planning. We would love to connect in that way um, and hear about that.
I totally agree. So, Morgan, where can people find us on the internet and share their stories of their girls trips with us?
Yes, yes. So you can feel free to email us at theglobalgirlfriend@gmail.com, or you can find us on social media, which is the Global Girlfriend on Instagram and TikTok. And we'd love to be able to connect with you there. We'll be sharing some stuff on the power of a girl's trip. So great way to connect.
Yes, please follow us on all social media platforms so you can see the photos of us sleeping. Oh, sorry, that's going to make a loud bang. So yes, please follow us on social media so you can see all of the photos of us sleeping in our snowsuits in an A-frame cabin in Montenegro.
Yes, we love it. Alrighty.
All right, well, we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for listening.
Yep. Thanks for joining the Global Girlfriend. Bye.
Bye.